Wake up, Toronto. So, the world is mourning the loss of Queen Elizabeth II. A few hours prior to the announcement of Her Majesty's passing, doctors were concerned for her well-being and requested the royal family to go visit her. Shortly after, it was announced that the Queen had passed away. She was 96 years old and served for 7 decades. Wow, that's brilliant. What an fulfilled life she had. Now, immediately, social media pages and stories were flooded with pictures of the Queen during her reign, and the universal message found in most was how much she would be deeply missed. Several celebrities shared photos from her iconic times with a special caption, while others shared photos of when they had the opportunity and got to interact with the Queen herself. Some of them include Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, Jennifer Garner, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, Ed Sheeran, and Sir Elton John, who said she was an inspiring presence to be around and led the country through some of its darkest times with grace, decency, and genuine caring warmth. He also went on to play tribute to the Queen at his final show here in Toronto with the song "Don't Let the Sun Go Down." He's no stranger to the royals because he also sang for Princess Diana at her funeral in 1997, and the songs he sang were "Candle in the Wind" and "Goodbye England Rose." Wow, I remember that decade very well because I was 7 years old, and I remember my mom put the TV on and she was sitting on the couch and we were both watching the procession, and she was bawling her eyes out, and she told me what had happened to her. And, being exposed so young to that kind of footage of the car accident and with her bodyguard, etc., was so heartbreaking. And I cried as well a lot because that was the first time I ever seen a real life princess. Usually in Disney, you have Jasmine and Belle and Cinderella, but this was real life. For the first time I was seeing that princesses existed. It was kind of a confirmation, but the caveat to that was I was also seeing death, and it was hard to digest that, wow, okay, we don't live forever, we die, and not necessarily at old age. It can happen at any moment. So it was a scary thing to witness for sure. And of course, the Queen's passing impacted Canada a great deal, as the Prime Minister came forward with a statement saying, "It is with the heaviest of hearts that we learned of the passing of Canada's longest reigning sovereign. She was a constant presence in our lives, and her service to Canadians will forever remain an important part of our country's history." Beautifully said, but there were a lot of non-supporters as well who took their chance and left their 2 cents in the comment section of these posts that were circulating. Some mocked Trudeau's words, and they also referenced past historical moments where British invaded India and enslaved the people, divided the country, and stole from the land. Some even went to dedicate the Queen's death as justice for Princess Diana, saying, "This one is for you, Diana." The derogatory comments also poured in. Many called the late Queen a baby eater who took their tax dollars and allegedly had a hand in the Prince Andrews and Epstein Island case. What? Is that overreaching? I don't know. Is there proof? Someone please find the answers and put it in the comment section so I can read them and better understand those stories, or if they're conspiracies or just, made up lies. Anyways, the Queen, though, wasn't the only one getting roasted. A lot of people poked fun at her son, Prince Charles III, quoting how he must have been relieved that she was gone because he never thought he'd get a chance at the throne. Oh my goodness, there is no love or empathy for the royals here. He's now 73, okay? So others said he wouldn't even reign for that long, as he will also die very soon. Like, are they the Grim Reaper? Like, do they know something that we don't? Do they have some psychic powers? Who knows? So absolutely no mercy was given to the royal family. However, as respect, the Toronto CN Tower blacked out its lights, Google's colorful background went gray, flags throughout the city were half-mast. News traveled fast, and this morning, the social pages for the royal family was also updated. Prince William is now listed as Duke of Cambridge, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, and Prince Charles now abdicated the throne as King Charles III. So these are the first steps of the transition that has happened. People are once again throwing a little bit of shade. So currency has become a topic, and while the Royal Canadian Mint haven't stated what will happen or if any production of coins and bills have been declared, we will just have to wait and see. But that hasn't stopped some people from saying how appalling and hideous King Charles will look on Canadian money. I guess that's a discussion for when the announcement happens. I mean, we're not going to be looking at the bills and staring at them all the time or displaying them in our home. It'll be in your wallets when you go to the stores. So people are pretty disturbed by it. I don't know why. As of right now, though, the attention is on whether or not a day in September will be a national holiday to mourn the loss of Queen Elizabeth. Although some people genuinely loved her and would appreciate the time to grieve, some seem to be looking for a free Lou Day. The Prime Minister, Trudeau, hasn't considered the request yet, but who knows, it may be passed. And what if it's an unpaid day off? Are you all cool with that? It's too early to tell, but I have to say this much. I politically never indulge in debating, especially my opinion and what my views are, but I will say this. You may not be a fan of the monarchy, and that's okay. You're allowed to feel the way you feel, but there's a time and place for it. I think every human being should have a dignified funeral. Their last rites should be, solemn and free of drama and just hateful words. I think just let this whole procession be completed before you begin just being angry and whatnot. That's just my little spiel on that. I'm not trying to, diminish anyone's point of views, but there's a time and place, and people are mourning, and we should also be very respectful towards them, because if we lost somebody that we truly cared for in our lives, but there's others out there who didn't appreciate their presence, but then at the actual funeral showed up and created such a big mockery, it would be insulting to you and hurtful and not right for the deceased. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. So with the funeral arrangements all underway, we can be sure that the ceremony will run smoothly, with barely any hiccups, and without anyone in attendance causing any sort of uproar, because I'm sure hundreds of guards will toss them out on their arse before they've had a chance to even get crazy. I wish I can say the same about this next funeral, and you know what that means. I'm doing a little segue because it's story time, and I know you love that. So recently, this happened in Alberta, and it was within my Fijian community of people. Firstly, disclosure, I don't know them, and I'm not directly affiliated with the family. However, I heard it from my parents, who heard it from the grapevine. So basically, it's like broken telephone. So I didn't know if the story, how true it was, what was actually said, the gist of it, but then something happened. There now is videos that was posted on TikTok, which is going viral. It was uploaded by Miss Sandhya. Now, it's a 3-parter, and most of the videos are in Hindi, so I will give a bit of translation on what is being said, although the context of things is blurry, as in what the fight is actually about. It isn't clear because there's a lot of voices, yelling and overlapping each other. But the creator who posted these videos didn't even leave a description or is responding to the comment section. So I guess it's up to us, the viewers, to kind of figure it out on our own. So the first video, before we get into that, I'm just going to, because there's quite a bit of females in here, I'm going to give them an alphabetized letter so it's easier to distinguish. It might get a bit confusing, but also there's no indication of what their real names are either. So here we go. So basically, there is a woman who's standing outside of the frame on the other side, so we don't see her while, the action is happening. But let's give that woman off to the side, woman B. Okay? Now, there is a daughter who is pulling her mother, woman C, away from a crowd of men who are on the other side, and there's a woman standing next to those men. Let's call her woman A. Now that we've established the 3 prime women, let's continue. So the daughter is pushing her mother, woman C, away from the crowd of men, and where woman A is also, towards woman B, and she's telling her mother to stop it. The woman who is surrounded by the men is yelling back at them. And so a funeral manager intercepts and approaches woman A, telling her to leave, but she responds with, "I'm the sister." Now, here's the thing. I don't know if she's the sister of woman B, who isn't in the frame, or if she's the sister of the deceased. Because if she's the sister of woman B, then that sucks because they're getting into an altercation, their family, in front of other family and just strangers, which is absurd. Now, woman A continues, and she goes on to say something like this to woman B: "You're an embarrassment." So we still kind of see woman B in the frame, but it's slightly, so it's hard to tell who she's directing what she's saying to, but I'm pretty sure it's woman B. And there's other things that woman A says, but it's just, I couldn't make it out. And so I went on thinking maybe woman B was a mistress to the deceased. And then woman A says, because at this point she's super upset, and she tells woman B, "You called my husband an MC," which is basically short form for a swear word for mother effer in Hindi. And then the woman A continues saying, "Shame on you." And that's the end of the clip. Now, part 2 begins abruptly, and it reveals what I was thinking about the mistress thing, because woman A now is approaching woman B saying sexual relations, and by showing up here today, you have embarrassed us. Then there's some more swearing, followed by the funeral manager taking over the mic and telling everyone to just take it outside. But clearly, no one is in tune to reality and why they're actually there. So woman A continues to tell woman B and C to shut up over and over again. So woman B tells her to leave, and woman A replies back with, "No, you leave." All this while, woman A has at least 12 men surrounding her that could have easily escorted both women out through opposite ways, but they did nothing, and so they're bystanders and the fight continues. Now, woman C, who we saw earlier with the daughter pushing her away from woman A, is obviously closely related to woman B, and so she decides to speak up for woman B because woman B hasn't really stood up for herself, and nothing of what she said was remotely clear because she was wearing a mask, so that's why woman C comes to her rescue. Now, woman C accuses woman A that she didn't even ask about the deceased once nor offered him food. So now it comes kind of full circle that, okay, woman A is definitely the deceased sister. Moving on, woman C, completely angered at this point, briskly walks up to woman A as if she's going to fight her. But the group of men now decide to, oh, something's going to go down, so let's intervene. So they pull them apart, kind of thing. And her daughter, just like in the first clip, pulls back her mom once again, telling her to stop. And here, part 2 ends. Now, part 3 deviates from the first 2 clips. Instead, it introduces a 5th character. It focuses on a man who's on the other side of the funeral venue by the doors, and he hasn't been identified as to what his relationship is to woman A, B, or C. Or does he know them all? Is he related? It's not determined. But here's the thing. He's yelling. And it's just so random. He says, "Everyone was screwing everyone, mother effers." And then adds, "If you call them dharam-patnis," which in Hindi means wives, you can get away with basically multiple sexual partners. Then someone says, "Amen." And I think woman A responds, "Don't say that word. You're an embarrassment." So basically it could be inferred that the person converted religions. So maybe he was Hindu and converted to Christianity. Who knows? Then he is more vulgar at this point, saying, "Watch out, she's going to F you all." The man then exits the room saying, "Jai Sanatan." So in Hindu Dharma, that means praise or salutations to the eternal truth and teachings. And that is where the final video ends. Wow, that's a lot to unpack, for one. But before I get into the next part, now that you have a description of what's going on, for my Fijian community, because we gotta have proof, I'm going to play the audio of those 3 videos. Before we start, I'm going to enter a trigger warning. That's right, one more time, a trigger warning. I know it's in Hindi, a different language, but there is foul words being used. It's disturbing. There's a lot of violent behavior being displayed, so be advised and just watch to your discretion. This footage was not intended to hurt anyone, but it was to back up the storytelling. So if you can, I don't know if that's an option on Instagram, maybe on YouTube and Facebook. When we get back, we'll conversate for a little bit before the closing remarks. And yeah, stay tuned.
Stop it! Hey! Leave it! Alvin! Don't be yellow!
Let's go. Okay, let's go.
They won't come for something like this.
I don't know what's going on, but
They won't come for something like this.
Shame on you, shame! Sexual relationship, huh? आज रहेंगे जब ये वैसे तरह तुम सामने मेरे business तुम रहेंगे ना
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the place. Please take it outside. Ladies and gentlemen, you can take it outside. Take it outside right now.
Shut up! Don't
साहब यहाँ कोई नहीं, यहाँ पे सबको जहां मरवाते हैं माचोर। साहब धर्म बदली कर दो तुम लोग, धर्म बदली करके बैठा है। यहाँ तुम लोग सब क्या चोरी
Welcome back. So, how was the audio? And was it very similar to my synopsis of everything going down? I hope so. It wasn't too confusing. So, now that that's wrapped up, there was a lot of activity in the comment section. And here's why. So many users who weren't Fijian were asking questions like, can you make a video explaining what is actually going on? Others were turning to each other in the comments for answers like translations. And some said, why are you airing this out on TikTok? Another replied with, the creator is amplifying the issue and that she is the real drama queen. But the unanimous vote is that people loved it. Every minute of it, and they wanted more. The spectacle was too great to turn away from, and someone asked when season 2 is coming out, while another said, what TV series is this? I think I like it. Oh my goodness. Another user even said it was better than Pavitra Rishta, which was an Indian soap opera on Star Plus channel. And so people are laughing out loud, especially to the guy who unnecessarily chimed in saying those things. And one TikToker mentioned that the guy came to a funeral house and then exited with Suzannatv. He was very confused. Boy, oh boy, I don't like to take on very controversial topics because to each their own. But my Fijian brothers and sisters, what exactly is this behavior? It guts me to the core. I mean, people do make mistakes. Yeah, some do commit infidelity in marriage, and granted, you may have enemies in life as well as people who you thoroughly dislike and may never want to cross paths with. But chances are if you do, and that is at a funeral out of all places, should you engage in a fight and shout in front of family members as well as tons of strangers? Like, each person has secrets. But doing so at someone's last rites is disrespectful nonetheless, okay? The soul from that body is gone. It's an empty vessel. You think the past issues and fights, bringing it up will reach his or her ears? Like he or she will get moksha or salvation that way? When people go to a funeral, okay, it is to bid the person we know and care for on some level a farewell so that the soul has a safe journey. Their life on earth has ended, but their next one is beginning. Basically, this entire video made me disappointed with my people. There's something called humility and class. They were anything but that. They were acting like barbarians. And as for the footage posted online, that's a them problem. The person who did this either for attention maybe, or they genuinely wanted to raise awareness for what should not be done at a gathering such as someone's passing, or teaching the people who behave this way a lesson. I can't say if it's right or wrong, but the fact that most people are laughing and taking the message of it being funny is just plain sad. It's supposed to be a peaceful moment, and it could have ended that way for the deceased, with dignity, But one thing's for sure, nothing ever vanishes online permanently. Even if this video, it may be taken down in a few days or weeks, but it'll be archived somewhere and resurface. But forever, this is how the man that has passed away will be remembered. Astonishing. What are your thoughts on this? leave a comment and let me know. Have a great weekend, you guys. Much love always.